Welcome back to Chessometrics. Let's continue now with the recap of round 2, where I had the black pieces. Let's see. So my opponent played e4, and I was thinking in my preparation that I should play the Sicilian, because I usually don't play this, and it will take my opponent off guard. And it worked out very well. I was very well prepared and got everything that I was preparing up to move around 12-13. So we can just click through. So I played the so-called Dragodorf with h5, stopping g4. Quite a fashionable line nowadays. It's a very fighting opening for black. So he went long castle, and this is already an inaccuracy objectively. The best way, I think, is to play bishop e2 and short castle, because then you will just play on positional terms later, get some Marozzi bind structure. And it's actually quite tough for black to create counterplay, because this structure here is very solid, and I also weakened g5 square for no reason. So yeah, bishop e2 and short castle is probably the best. But long castle, a lot of players play this move, and after b5, black is already like almost equalizing and has a very fine game. Also very good attacking chances on the queen side. King b1, the main move, knight bd7. And now my opponent just completely surprised me with the move queen f2. I was just wondering now for 2-3 minutes what is the drawback, what changed to the main lines. And the thing is that, first of all, he doesn't control the center so well anymore. And he doesn't control this knight. And this will be important later, as we will see. So I just continued with the normal moves that would also have been played if we were to go, like, let's say, the normal moves like bishop e2. I will just go bishop e7. So nothing dramatic. Bishop e7, h3, rook c8. And now after the move bishop d3, if you want to pause the video, find an idea for black on your own, you can do that right now. And I will just show you that the move rook takes c3 here is just clearly better for black already due to the damaged structure, the king, and it's a very typical sacrifice in the Sicilian. So once you're allowed, you should definitely take there. If you see that you also have a very nice follow-up, let's say like this, and also this knight a4 resource is very important, and I think black is just better. But I was just thinking that I will use my idea with h4, fixing the structure, and imply a very nice idea with rook h5, rook c5, which I've seen in one of my preparations. So after rook he1, I was just too much focused on rook h5 actually. Of course, I know that rook takes c3 is usually a typical move and a typical pattern, but I just thought I can wait a move and play rook h5, also maybe swinging over later. So there's a lot of very funny lines here, funny ideas. But I completely missed, of course, that you can go knight c2, and for example, after b4 knight to f4, basically after rook f5, I can resign because of the very nice tactical idea knight to e6. So this is quite funny. And after rook e5, I was not trusting this position. It looks very strange to have this rook here, and technically the pawn on h4 is not hanging probably because of g5, but I wasn't sure at all. It looks very strange for black. So instead I went for, I should have probably just kept the position and play queen c7, and after knight to f4, just rook h7, guarding the bishop so that knight e6 is not a threat. But instead I went for a very committal decision, which was e5. And in the dragon, you should know as a big rule, like the first rule in the dragon that you've learned is when you play the move e5, you should immediately be able to break with d5, getting rid of the weakness. So yeah, you can equalize after that. But the problem was that after knight b3, I was not in time. If I were to play d5, I think the center just opened. So I just did not like this. I think it's bad. So I played the move king f8. It's one of the two best moves, but after his regrouping bishop d2, a very strong move, I have to say. It's actually very simple, knight a5, I bishop e4, but I completely underestimated this move, and I think I'm just clearly worse here. Not losing, but clearly worse. Play the move queen b6, takes, bishop b4, and now after king e7, knight to a5, which I also, the idea of knight a5 is not just the move itself, but clearing the square to play b3, c4, and of course getting a very nice strategic advantage over, a very nice grip over the light squares. And my pieces look a bit awkward on the king side. So I think I'm just close to losing here. Knight e8, I have to play the passively. But luckily my opponent did not take with the knight here, because I think after that here I'm just, yeah, close to losing, because he gets a pawn on a6 maybe, he gets control over the d5 square, and my counterplay with f5 is too late, because the knight will just protect d4 and he has the control over the light squares. So this is just probably good. He took with the bishop, and now after rook g5, knight takes d6. Here he probably had to be cold-blooded, just defend the pawn, and he's just winning. But instead he took and offered me a draw, which I of course happily took. I saw that after takes, king e8, rook takes a6. Actually, I have a lot of counterplay here, so I was hoping for that. Something like f5, and if the knight were to move to c3, then rook h2 or rook g3 would take a lot of pawns, and this h4 pawn will be maybe quite strong. But instead, once again, he probably can just defend the pawn. And after bishop f8, rook b6, I actually saw that during the game. I'm just a pawn down for no reason. So yeah, he probably could convert this. So yeah, very interesting game. The key moment, of course, I should just take on c3, either on the move number 13 or one move later after rook e1, because then his structure will be shattered and his king will be long-term weak. And yeah, I think that could have put a lot of pressure with this tactical resource. Well, so that was my second round recap. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget, success for chess. Bye bye.